Obviously when people ask me where I'm from, I'm Australian. But I was born in Pakistan, moved when I was 4. My first language was Urdu. I don't actually remember that, but what I do remember is that I love sport and I always played sport from the first day of school. So I didn't know English, but I could still play sport with everyone. Hence why I love sport, hence why I think sport's such a great teaching tool in life. I was a Muslim growing up in Australia in the 1990s. Many people didn't know much or at all about Islam. So there was a few difficulties in terms of culture and what I was eating and what I was doing and how I was doing it. There was still a massively white majority across Australia in the early 90s, and it was slowly transitioning. It's not what we see now in the western suburbs. It's probably one of the most multicultural regions in the world, which is awesome. One thing I still remember that I used to get called, used to hurt me a lot, I used to get called curry muncher. It used to absolutely roll me up. I used to hate that term. When I was growing up, it felt really uncool to be Indian, Pakistani, Sri Lankan. You know, it had all these negative undertones to it. And so for me, it all centered around those sorts of things more than the color itself. I think more than what my skin color was. Yeah, I stood out, but it always felt personal. And to me, I always felt a bit ashamed of where I was from. I always felt a bit ashamed being a curry muncher. I used to tell people I was from Saudi Arabia, and people had no idea where Saudi Arabia was from, so no one would answer a question. They wouldn't ask me again. When I moved over to Queensland when I was 25 to restart my own journey in terms of cricket and life, that's where I thought, look, I'm just going to be myself from here on in, and hopefully the Queensland boys like me for who I am, and if they don't, I will accept that, because I'm not going to try to be anywhere else. And I think that only happened through maturity, through understanding that I actually stopped caring what people thought about me in a lot of respects. I wanted to be me, and I think that was the biggest thing. And when I started being myself, people actually started respecting me more for that. Bizarrely enough, I was a lot happier. Everything that was going on around my life seemed to be more enjoyable too. So it was a big step for me. Because when I first came to Queensland, I felt like I stepped back a little bit in time. I'm actually awesome to see. I'm really glad to say that in those 10 years since I've been up here, how much Queensland and Brisbane's changed in terms of multiculturalism. So that's the proudest thing. I think I'm seeing the evolution that's happening in Australia right now. But I still do feel that we have a long way to go. I'm trying to teach Aisha stuff already. I talk to her in Urdu all the time. For me, religion is such a big thing, Islam is a big thing, but all Islam really tries to do is tries to shape someone and try to make them a better person. So my number one goal is hopefully my daughter's respectful to herself and respectful to other people, and hopefully the teachings that I can give her through religion and culture and family values can point her in the right direction. When she's older, she lives her life as she wants. It's a beautiful country. Australia is such a beautiful country. We're so lucky to be living here. I've come from Pakistan. I've traveled the world. I see what's happening around the rest of the world. And when I come back to Australia, I'm always so thankful. And the one thing I see all the time are different faces, people with different skin color, with different cultural beliefs, with different religions. And I think Australian cricket still, up to this point, hasn't quite achieved that. It's not quite representing in the Australian cricket team what Australia is actually all about. So I would love to see I'd love to see a person from Africa playing in the Australian cricket team. I'd love to see a 6'10" Khawaja Rabada just running in, bowling thunderbolts. I'd love to see someone from a country that isn't a cricketing nation, because I feel like if we can start doing that, I think that's when we start to really dig into what multiculturalism is all about. I'd love to see more female voices in staff, CA boards, and I think the next step for us is to bring more multicultural sort of aspect into Cricket Australia as a whole, to hopefully get a better representation in the Australian cricket team of what Australia really stands for.